Get the kettle on, grab a brew, because you're listening to Coffee and Dark Reads. Hi guys, and welcome back to a very, very delayed Coffee and Dark Reads. But I have my coffee. This was supposed to be a prize to go for a raffle for a signing event, which obviously didn't happen. My Blue Yeti mic is still broken. I'm still mourning its loss. However, I have got another one, which hopefully will improve the sound quality. It does, however, mean that I have to get really close to the microphone in order to talk to it. And the Zoom, I don't know why, but it seems to have very much zoomed. I can't see a zoom out. So you get me up close and personal. We started reading, well, I started reading, obviously, Overlook Hotel to you. And because there were sound problems with it, I'm going to continue doing that. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to redo the first bit. So for those of you that have already listened to it, I apologise. There will probably be different little bits of me nattering in it. So that's one positive. So let's begin. I'm going to start with a note to readers. It says, welcome to 31 Overlook Hotel. The premise of this novel is unique. It is written by 31 different authors from around the world, each penning a chapter or two. Our authors' names will be present with the chapter they've written. We hope you will discover a talent you didn't know about before now. There are also bios for each of the authors at the end of the novel. Welcome to the Overlook Hotel. It is my goal to ensure all possible needs are met for our esteemed patrons. When visiting the hotel, please exercise care in what areas of the building you wander into without permission. We cannot be held responsible for your safety. We do hope you enjoy your stay. Sincerely, the night manager, Hargrove, Perth. Dear honoured guest, enclosed you will find an exclusive invitation to the 31 Overlook Hotel Masquerade Ball. Due to the nature of the ultimate outcome of the festivities, the hotel has requested the explicit details of the event and what will culminate afterwards will not be revealed until midnight at the ball. We promise to delight and not disappoint. Please understand that if you are holding this invitation, then you are among a small group of the selected very important individuals for attendance. We do not expect an RSVP. Please arrive with your invitation and present it at the front desk during check-in. If you have not spent time at our resort prior, please note that we do have tailored menus available for our guests with refined, specialised tastes. This can be addressed upon arrival. As always, I am here to serve. Sincerely, the night manager. And each chapter has an interlude, which is an introduction to that next chapter. And they were written by the very talented Hargrove, Perth, who is, in real life, she was the lady that organised it all. She was the one that put in the work editing and putting it all together. And she was the one that tied everything together, tied everybody's stories together. So, interlude number 1, the night manager, Hargrove, Perth. Welcome to 31 Overlook Hotel. I see you have a private invitation. The invite slips from her hand into mine. I carefully open the envelope to view her invitation details. A vampire. She'll need a private room, one that is soundproofed, perhaps even a large porcelain tub to avoid a messy aftermath. How long do you plan on being our guest? I asked, slipping the invitation into the strong box beneath the desk. She stares at me for a moment. as I pushed the cat eye styles black rimmed frames of my glasses up my nose. Hard to say. I guess until all this plays out. Her eyes are brilliant green, speckled with the flecks of leftovers from her humanity. I hand her my card, offering a slight smile. No one mans the front desk during daylight hours, which I'm sure won't inconvenience you. Our specialty menu is to our guests upon request. The spa area is open from 6 in the evening until 3 in the morning. However, I do recommend an appointment. Once the other guests arrive, we will have reached full capacity. Would you please sign in the guest book while I retrieve your room key? I turn the book towards our guest, handing her a fountain pen. Hardly anyone uses these pens any longer. Such a shame, they write so beautifully. She turns the book towards me, returning the smile as the key is placed in her hand. Room number 222, an interior room with limited windows. The buzzer is pressed for the bellboy. As she follows behind Teddy, she turns and blows me a kiss. Victor Alexander will certainly be pleased when I alert him of the arrival of Ruby McGettigan. My thoughts turn to Teddy as he pulls the gates shut on the elevator. I do hope she doesn't eat him. I'm rather fond of the boy for reasons I will not reveal yet. So, Chapter 1. Act 1, shall I say. Sorry, that's my phone going off with notifications. I should have turned that down. Yeah, everybody's... Just need to just turn everything down. I think that should have turned things down now. Act 1. The Primordial Hunter by Hardgrove Perth. I haven't managed to turn off all the notifications. Of course, I appreciate the courtesy call. This wouldn't be possible without you. We do our best to see our guests' experiences exactly what they need. Do not hesitate to call my direct line if any detail needs addressed. Good night, Victor. The dial tone goes dead before anything can be said to the night manager regarding what she personally arranged. So, sorry about this. Can I shut that? Just try shutting that and see if that helps. Yeah, maybe that'll help now. One of them has arrived. They are, if anything, punctual. I toss the information from the note sent by the night manager into the fireplace, watching the fire engulf the letter from the front desk. The night manager has been a dear friend for years, longer than I can count. A personal invitation arrives at my residence whenever anyone belonging to the Primordials is sent an invitation by courier, courtesy of the night manager. She has been instrumental in aiding me on this long and tiresome quest. Next to the bed is a complimentary list of the available blood types of the hotel guests, as well as what they have on ice should nothing strike my fancy. As a night manager, no one can touch the woman at the front desk. She is discreet, intelligent, sexy, and formidable. You can't ask for much more. The fire is warm on this chilly autumn evening, a cold reprieve from hunting in the elements. I pick up Ruby McGettigan's file from my briefcase and walk to the chair by the fireplace and sit down. Verified. Now, you see, this is what happens when you're reading somebody else's work. You look and you go, So I'm going to say AOS Psi. It's capital AOS/SI. So sometimes you just have to try and work it out in your own head. age approximately 2,500 years. Last seen 4 years ago in Lyon, where you were involved in an illicit rave at one of the catacombs to satiate the lust of your despicable species. How nice. I closed the file before dropping it on the floor. It's always the same with these Aosai, the original vampires, the children of the sleeping mounds. They feed once a year, generally on the blood of those they created. It wasn't until we learned that we stood a chance against them, until I formulated the perfect weapon, that we traditional stood a chance of surviving. Humans don't know they exist. Well, that is, until it's too late. For the longest time, we didn't know they existed either. That's the beauty of being one of the primordials. One of the first and oldest vampires. You have a beating heart. Your blood is warm as it courses through your veins. You appear impeccably human. The grandfather's clock chimes 7 times. I stand walking to the armoire and choose a nice black suit for the evening. It's time to endear myself to my prey, a black Armani designed to impress. Now, that's the suit that's a black Armani, not the prey. It just, the way it reads sometimes on paper and the way it reads when you read it out loud. I don't know. Sometimes it just doesn't click for me. By the time I arrive in the grand ballroom, the location of the hotel bar, Ruby is already seated at the bar, carefully sipping a true Bloody Mary, typo by the scent of it. Your best bourbon and a Coke on the side, please, I say to the bartender, sitting a few chairs away from where Ruby is seated. Catching prey is a game. It could be a deadly one if I play my cards wrong. I catch her glancing at me from the corner of my eye. All alone, so close to the holidays? What a pity. I'm sorry. You know, Halloween. I just assumed you were here for the Halloween ball. I'm not much of a dancer. This is a business trip for me, I reply, smiling back at her. Oh, come now, with those broad shoulders and good looks, you know how to dance. It's nearly a lost art. Just might impress the ladies. Some people have 2 left feet, and I'm one of those people, I offer with a laugh, attempting to appear nervous. The more she believes me to be an easy target, the less Ruby will suspect I'm here to end her life. Ruby moves a seat closer to mine. Such predictable behaviour. So what do you do for a living? You mentioned that you were here on business. It's Victor. Ruby, she replies, moving to the chair next to mine, offering me her hand. The danger of her killing me only comes as she learns my intent. Being that it's not New Year's, the only time of year that a primordial feeds on other vampires to sustain them for the next 365 days. Sorry. I'm relatively safe for now, at least. She's so impeccably warm. The blood coursing through her body. By now she knows exactly what I am having touch me. Ruby won't let on. She won't say a word. She'll play this like a cat and mouse game they enjoy so greatly. That irresistible beat of her heart, so impeccably human, so steady and rhythmic, so desperately enticing. There's a draw, a lingering longing caused by very near human feel Ruby possesses. It's been so long since I've shared that intimacy, that warmth, that passion. What do you do, Victor? As a profession, I mean. I sell antiquities. She leans forward, resting her chin on her hand. That sounds incredibly interesting. You must see all kinds of unusual items. Some make you question humanity. Do you have a storefront or an online store? Ruby queries, pausing to signal the bartender for another Bloody Mary. This time, as he sits the drink in front of her, the distinctive scent of type A positive fills the air. It has a rustic yet floral bouquet to it. It's one of the more unusual traits of this hotel. It caters to a wide variety of clientele. No one is left wanting. The scent lingering in her tall glass is heady, thick with a woodland fragrance. Humans are similar to flowers. Every mortal on the planet has a signature scent, an essence lingering in their blood that makes it simply irresistible. The only way it can be explained is that it's similar to pheromones, allowing for an attraction to thrall a vampire from across the room. At times, the enticement is irresistible. See a dog just going past. Little doubt exists that Ruby has already entered into the bliss-like state over the myriad of bouquets lingering within me. Hunting creatures such as her, it expends a large amount of energy. That in turn leads to feeding more frequently. An essence can linger with a vampire, sometimes for days after feeding. Given the fact that I have utilised multiple blood slaves in the last week and a half, it's a wonder Ruby isn't drunk by now. And I don't have a storefront or an online store. My clientele is unique, which requires a certain amount of discretion. Those with wealth can afford to collect the oddities of the world. They appreciate the anonymity, which only I can provide them. Pack that in. You don't walk in here for a scratch when I'm doing this. No, go away. Sorry about this. You see, everything's disturbing me today. It's all disturbing me. And for those listening on the podcast, there is a YouTube version of this where you can see me sort of stop and have a swig of my coffee and turn to look at the dog and look at him in annoyance. So, back to where I was before he so rudely disturbed me. Her eyes retain part of her humanity, that longing, faraway look mortals often have when daydreaming or remembering events long past. For Ruby, that could be a myriad of memories given the length of the life she has lived thus far. Still, it does stir my curiosity. Due to the nature of my life and the task that belongs to me alone, there is never time to learn what the Eosai know. An immense amount of knowledge lingers beneath the dangerous surface that... Sorry. I will sort that out for next time. I will stick things in drawers and turn everything else off. An immense amount of knowledge lingers beneath the dangerous surface that is presented as such as calm and beautiful exterior to the rest of the world. If only her death was not certain. What is the most unusual item you've obtained for one of your clients? Her eyes closed slowly, attempting to use her powers of mesmer against me, believing she is far superior to me. Her perfume is a mixture of heliotrope, rose and cedar. It's subtle yet drawing. Powdered mummy remains would rest at the top of the list of strangely odd requests. Why? Why in the world would someone collect that? Mystical qualities, I assume. It's better not to ask what people want items like this for in their lives. Did you know people once added powdered mummy remains to elixirs in the Victorian age because they believed it had curative properties? I do hope that wasn't the reason behind your client's requests. That's awful, eating the dead. Her comment stirs the will to laugh, but it's suppressed. What does Ruby believe she does the moment she kills someone and drinks their blood? She's gaining her substance from a corpse. It's one of the many reasons I prefer the blood slaves to ending a life. There is a marked difference between the blood. I don't reveal those details, Ruby. It would be a violation of trust. Something like that spreads like wildfire in the circles I travel. Frank Sinatra's Fly Me to the Moon floats on the air as we continue chatting, becoming comfortable with one another. Ruby believes she has lured me into her web of deceit. It's a fallacy I must allow her to embrace by continuing this incredibly dull and mundane conversation. What's your line of work? I ask, motioning towards the bartender to bring us another round. I work in real estate, mostly high-end seekers of those little getaways in the country, sometimes in Europe where no one knows who they are. Anonymity is important. I can understand why it would be so very important to keep that sort of client privilege. Another Frank Sinatra song lingers in the background of the bar, just loud enough to be heard. The song takes me back to the days so long ago. It's nearly a haunting memory. So many years are a blur to me with the passing of time, and yet some come as clearly as yesterday. A song, that melody that can pull me back to another time without hesitation. We should go somewhere a little more private, Ruby whispers, slipping her hand to the middle of my thigh. Her heart rate is elevated, nearly a bass drum beating in my ears. Her bloodlust is rising quickly, something I had not anticipated. The lights shimmer against her dark burgundy hair. On any other woman it would look so artificial, but her perfect near porcelain complexion only complements it. You aren't married. A beautiful woman like you, I find that amazing. I've never had that desire. That probably sounds strange. The world can be very complicated when you're tied to another person for centuries. Her comment surprises me, though Ruby probably didn't think too much of it. She lifts my room key from the pocket of my coat suit. My suit coat, even. Before kissing me. A kiss filled with so much contagious passion that it is nearly too much for me to resist. Ruby slips off the bar stool, taking my hand before leading me towards the elevator. Once inside, I press the button for my floor. There's barely time enough for me to step backwards before Ruby pushes me against the wall of the elevator, kissing me again. It's been eons, so many centuries since I've known the warmth of a woman. To feel the warmth of her body against mine in carnal bliss. I cannot lose sight of the prize, of what I've travelled so far to accomplish. Rumi McGettigan is an Eos Psi. That's what she has to remain to me, nothing more. Even more important, I made a promise that must be kept. Yet she stirs something inside me, a longing that I've not known in so long. I push her away from me gently as the door chimes for my floor. Ruby wastes no time taking my hand and leading me down the hallway to room 222. Relief washes over me. If she had bit me in the elevator, it would have come crashing down without a cleaner arranged to handle the aftermath. The night manager would have been far from pleased. The door closes behind us quickly, Ruby unfastening the buttons of my shirt while manoeuvring us towards the bed. She pushes me backwards, laughing. I was wondering just how long you were going to play me, Ruby asks, her eyes flashing to black as she pins my wrist to the bed with her hands. There's no sense in fighting her. I couldn't if I wanted to anyway. She has centuries of power flowing through her veins as one of the first vampires to emerge from the sacred mounds. It wasn't a game. I honestly didn't know until just now what you were for certain. Aren't you afraid, even in the slightest, knowing your death is imminent, Victor? And give you the satisfaction of feasting on my fear? I'd rather enjoy the carnal lust between us for a little while before I give in so easily. Ruby laughs, her eyes flickering between greenish blue and black. Her fangs are formidable even in the darkened hotel room as she smiles at me. She leans forward, kissing me, moaning as her lips pull away from mine. It's such a shame you aren't like me. What fun we could have had together. Bliss fills me as her fangs penetrate the skin of my shoulder. My eyes close, allowing that ecstasy to fill me to the core. I can feel the flow of my blood, the gentle sucking of Ruby as she takes as much as she is able. Leaning backwards, she smiles at me. A coy smile intended to intimidate me, but there's no time remaining for games now. Her hands reach for her throat as Ruby chokes, not fully understanding what is happening. She gasps for air, clawing at my chest with her right hand. Black trailing lines spread from her heart outwards, travelling quickly across her body. Perhaps it is the one common denominator that makes the females of the Eos Psi easier to kill. Along with their insatiable lust for the blood of another vampire, is they also have an insatiable lust for sex. It's far easier to lure one of the females in for the kill. The males have proven to be much more difficult across the years. Colloidal silver, my dear. It took me nearly a century to develop an immunity. I knew it was the only way I could outlive the lot of you. Such a fabulous little invention of the Victorian era. They did invent the most curious items. I turn my head, closing my eyes as the internal fire begins and Ruby crumbles to ash. Sitting forward to brush her remains away, I lean across the bed and call the front desk. Night manager speaking. Are you ready for the cleaner, Mr. Alexander? I am. Could you please send my suit out to be cleaned as well? Of course, Mr. Alexander. Do you require a human guest to replenish you? Oh, that is very kind of you. Please send her up in an hour. I'd like to bathe first. I remove my suit, laying it across the bed. Ruby's name is one of many in the little black book of lives I must end. If it weren't for the occasional invite from the night manager, it would have taken centuries to track them all down. To her, there is an immense amount of gratitude. I smile while drawing a line through the name Ruby McGettigan. Another one down, 113 to go. So that is the end of the first act. And I hope sound quality is going to be better on this. I am trying to get back, so I'm just going to have to have a drink. I'm trying to get my mojo back. I'm trying to get back into writing and my blog and getting this podcast back running. So I have scheduled my life a little bit more to try and get back to where I am. I am going to see if I can get my fabulous Blue Yeti mic fixed because I don't like having to sit this close over this microphone. Or I'll just have to work out a way to do it. And I will be back with you all next week for part 2. So until then, see you all later. Bye. Okay, so now I'm just going to say hello for anybody that's joined me on YouTube. You can see that my hair looks terrible. Anybody that follows me on social media knows I like my hair nice and bright, and is probably wondering why it's so dull. The reason is it's my birthday next month, and I want to try something new for my birthday, so I'm fading this down as much as I can so that then I can actually do something different with it. That's the plan. So I am hoping that you will all subscribe, follow me on this journey, come back to see the hair, my Carolina dress designs, dresses that you're probably going to see me wearing lots of these because they're so comfy. And I'll catch up with you all later. Bye.